Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ray, and if you don't know, I post book content, some lifestyle content, and I absolutely love to read. Today's video is fun because we are picking out my June TBR. I love making TBR videos. I love watching TBR videos. I think it's so much fun just because nobody knows what the books are about that they're going into for the most part, unless it's like a reread. Today we are picking out my June TBR. Now before we jump into the whole picking of prompts and all of that, let's talk a bit about my May TBR and how that went. So I am happy to say that I am on track to complete my May TBR, which is really exciting because I have never, from posting TBR videos, posted a TBR video, completed my TBR, and been able to say that. However, May was the first month. Maybe it was something in the air in May, the good weather. I've just been really feeling like I'm in the reading mood. So May was just a great reading month altogether, probably one of the best of the year so far. The books that I chose in my last video were In the Hour of the Crows. We had Her Mother's Daughter, and we also had Alone with You in the Ether. I have since read In the Hour of the Crows. I've also read Her Mother's Daughter, and I'm currently in the middle of Alone with You in the Ether, which is really exciting. And I do have a few days left in May, so I will definitely be finishing it today or tomorrow. But yeah, I'm on track to finishing my first ever TBR that I've picked, so I'm really excited about that. It gives me a lot of hope going into June that I can do it. I've done it once, I can do it again. I did pick up a few other books, which is why I left Alone with You in the Ether till the end. However, I was thinking that the other TBR that I came close to completing was back in January. I had picked 3 books. It was the 3rd book in the Unselected Journals of M.M. Lyon series. We had A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly and also Alone with You in the Ether, and I did read A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly and the 3rd book in the M.M. Lyon series. And so now that I finished Alone with You in the Ether, I have now completed that January TBR. I think that I would want to do a video where all the books that I haven't completed on the TBRs I've made, it'd be fun to do that in like 1 or 2 videos. I think that could be a fun idea. In terms of the other books that I had on the TBR, I had The Deal by Elle Kennedy, I had Powerless by Elsie Silver, and then I also had Tattered Tides by Sarah A. Bailey. Now I did softy enough Tattered Tides. That book I was really excited for. I love her Pacific Shore series. However, I was finding with Tattered Tides that it was just moving too quick. I found that our main characters didn't have enough time to get to know each other before we jumped into the romance of it all and the liking of each other, and I felt like it was getting too quick, too intense, all too fast in the book. And so I put it down for a little bit, and I just didn't want to not like the book because maybe it just wasn't the right time. But at the time I was just feeling like this was not something that I wanted to read right now, so I did softy enough that one. And The Deal and Powerless were just ones that I was hoping to get to, but not necessarily like on my strict TBR. I haven't gone to either of those yet, so hopefully next month we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited to pick out my June TBR. We are going to be picking it out with my TBR vase, book planter that I used in the last video. I think it's so cute. I still have a bunch of prompts in here. There's a few books that I do want to make sure that I get on the TBR. I usually pick out 3 books for my TBR videos. It gives me some flexibility to mood read. If not, I usually read about 3 books a month. There is a book that I have an arc for that's coming out in June. It's called Return to Sender, and I want to see if I can get that one on the TBR using the prompts. If not, I'll be reading it anyways. But that is one that I for sure have to read this month, so I'm hoping to get that on the TBR. I am gonna go change out my battery because it's flashing at me and stressing me out, so we're gonna change my battery and I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. I forgot with this camera that I'm using, I can actually charge it like directly from the charging port of the camera while I'm filming, so I never have to worry about battery issues, and that's one of the reasons I got it. So forgot about that, changed the battery anyways. So I do want to try to get Return to Sender on the TBR because I do want to read it this month, and if it's on the TBR, I have a high chance of completing my TBR again because I'll definitely be reading it anyways. But I do have my little TBR planter right here, and I love using this last time, so we're going to use it again. I feel like I've been reading a lot of the physical books on my TBR lately, and I'm really excited about it. One thing before we get into the actual picking of the prompts, I do have 2 books that I've added to my physical TBR since the last video, and I want to kind of go and do this every time in case I've bought books. I want to know what I'm buying so that I can look back at these and remind myself that I don't need to be buying books. I saw recent reviews of these books and they just really caught my attention, and I used to do it where like I saw one really good review and I would buy the book, but I went and looked at a couple other reviews and everyone was saying the same things. We have Because I Him by Edith Bird. I've heard a lot of interesting things about this. However, when I got this book in the mail, I didn't realize it was going to be like a brick of a book. I was expecting it to be like maybe half the size. I think it's like 600, 700, yes, about 700 pages, but something about it just caught my eye. It seemed like a really interesting, unique kind of story, and so I wanted to pick it up, and so we added that one. We also have A Requiem for Fallen Stars by Hazel S. Wilkes. I've also heard really great things about this entire series. I think this is indie published, and so I wanted to grab a copy. I love independent published books. Like, I don't know, something about them. The covers are always very stunning and beautiful. Like, this is so aesthetically pleasing to me. It's just such a stunning cover. Those are the new additions to my TBR. Not that I need to be adding to my TBR, but I wanted to be transparent and honest that I have bought books since the last time we talked. Those are the newest additions. Now let's get into picking the prompts, the fun part, the whole reason that you're here for this video. So let's get to picking our first prompt. Obviously my TBR cart isn't next to me. I have a lot of books that I haven't read, so I'm going to give myself free will to my shelves and my TBR cart. My husband has been wanting me to get The Husband Chooses My Book prompt because he has a book in mind for me to read. I don't know if he's going to stick with me with like Lord of the Rings or Dune, but we'll see if we get that prompt. Okay, this one. The small one. Okay, so we have a book with mixed reviews. Okay, actually there's a couple options. I'm looking at my TBR card. I'm gonna go grab a few options, maybe 2 or 3 options, and then we'll kind of see. I can't really think of another one other than the one that's on my cart that I'm seeing right now and looking at. We are going to pick out a book with mixed reviews and I'll be right back. Okay, so I do have 2 books here that we can choose from that I have heard mixed reviews about. I couldn't really find anything else that I was like, okay, I've heard mixed reviews about this. Actually, I'm looking at one right now that potentially, but we're gonna go with these 2 because I picked them out. The first one is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. Now, I have only heard mixed reviews about this. Either you love it or you like absolutely despise it. And I've heard that there's some tropes in here, which I don't know much about this book, but there's a certain trope or storyline in here that really rubs people the wrong way. So I don't know what that's about. I have no idea what the book's even about, but I did read my first Carly Fortune book in May. I read The Summer Will Be Different because I went to PEI and I wanted to read a book that was set in PEI. So I picked that one to take with me and I absolutely loved it. I like her writing style. I think it's so easy, but so beautiful and lyrical. And she writes so many beautiful things within a short span of time. My full reviews on that and everything is going to be posted next. I know there's a show or something coming out about this book, so I think it would be fun to read it before that came out, but this is definitely an option. And then another popular one that I think I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, like a lot. Same thing as Every Summer After, you either love it or you don't, is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. And I've heard this is like more on the literary fiction side than her usual romance lit fic books. And so I think that's what kind of threw people off a little bit, is that they expect a certain type of style of writing from her and the storyline just didn't match that exactly. So I think some people were a little bit thrown off from it and maybe didn't like it as much for that reason. I'm not 100% sure. Also don't know what this one's about, but I do have a lot of Emily Henry books and I've only read Beach Read and Happy Place, so it would be fun to maybe get another one of her books off my list. However, I do think because there is a show coming out for this and I know a lot of people are going to talk about it, it just gives like the summer vibes and it matches like literally everything. I'm wearing blue, my background's blue. I think we're going to go with Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. Like I said, I liked her writing style. I did find some things in This Summer Will Be Different a little bit repetitive, but for the most part I really enjoyed it, so I feel like I could enjoy this one as well. Hopefully. I have no idea what it's about and I don't know what the trope is that everybody seems to like dislike so much, but we'll see. But I think the first book we're going to have for mixed reviews is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I think it makes the most sense. Out of all the books on my shelves, this is the one I've heard the most mixed reviews about. Every Summer After will be the first book on our June TBR. Okay, we are going in for prompt number 2. Let's just give it a good little mix. So interesting to see what prompts I put in because I put these in so long ago that I just like have no idea. This seems to be a big one. So, okay, this one says a book with and or of in the title. So I feel like we're gonna have a ton of options with this one. I'm gonna go pick out a few books and then we will see what we end up with. Okay, I have too many options. I have 5 options here. That's too many, but to be fair, the last prompt I only put out 2 books, so we've got 5 books we can choose from. And then I kept looking at my shelves and I was like, there are so many that have and or of that if I keep looking, I'm gonna pull out more books and then there's no need to do that. The first one we have is Lady of Darkness. This was on a previous TBR, I never got to it. I am worried to put this on a TBR and not complete it again. I feel like it's something that I want to read, but I want to pick it up when I feel like I want to get into it. So I feel like for that reason, I don't know that I'm going to pick this one. It is still an option though. I'm going to be thinking about it, but we have Lady of Darkness. It has of in the title. Then we have The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Line, which also has of in the title. This is volume 6. I've got 3 books left in here and I don't know when the 9th one is coming out. So I've slowed my roll with it, but I would like to read another book in the summer. I feel like they're perfect books to read. And this one follows, I think, January and February. So the next one would be March, April, May, June. So if I got to the 8th book, it would follow the current months that I'm in, which would be kind of fun, but this is definitely an option. This would also be continuing a series, which is a huge goal of mine, to continue and finish series, so that could be an option. I don't know what it is. Like, I know some people say this is the most plain cover in the series, but I find it so stunning and beautiful. Like, it's just, I don't know. I love all of these covers. I think they're stunning. And then we have Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welsh. This is part of a 3-book interconnected standalone series, I believe, and they each take place in different countries. This one takes place in Italy, and I think one takes place in Greece, and the other one in Ireland maybe. But this is an interconnected standalone series. I think it could be fun, quick, like a short, fun little summer read. I've had this on my TBR for so long, so getting it off would be really fun. And then if I liked it, I do have the other 2 books as well. I got them from Book Outlet like a long time ago when I was just ordering so many books when I got back into reading, and I saw Book Outlet and I'm like, I can get like 7 books for $50. That's a steal. So ordered boxes and boxes, and that's the reason my TBR has gotten so big as it has. Book Outlet was too good to me. But we do have Love and Gelato. I think this could be a fun summer read. We'll see. I might want to read this like later in the summer months, but I think this could still be a good option. And then we have Emma of 83rd Street by Audrey Belezza and Emily Harding. Don't know if I said any of those last names right, but I did read the 3rd book in this interconnected standalone series back in December. It was called Anne of Avenue A, and I loved their writing style and their storytelling. I didn't know at the time it was part of an interconnected standalone series. I'm someone who, even if it is interconnected standalones, I still want to read the book from the start. So I do have the other 2 books in this series now. So I do have this, and I think it could be fun. It says Beautiful, clever, and rich Upper East Sider Emma Woodhouse has lived 23 years with very little to distress or vex her. That is until her sister's marriage and subsequent move downtown. So when she meets Nadine, a wide-eyed Ohio transplant with a heart of gold and drugstore blonde highlights to match, Emma sees not only potential for a new friend but a new project. If only her overbearing neighbor George Knightley would get out of her way. Handsome, smart, and successful, the one thing that frustrates Knightley more than a corked whiskey is his childhood friend Emma. Whether it's her shopping sprees or her revolving door of hobbies, he is more than happy to lecture her on the finer points of adulthood. But much to his chagrin, Knightley can't help but notice that the girl next door is a woman now, only he suddenly can't get out of his head. Okay, so childhood friends to lovers potentially. But I do think this is like the perfect kind of spring read. Like the cover is just like screaming spring, so I feel like it could be really fun to read this one before the spring season's over. And the last one we have is Secrets and Curses of Exile. Now this one would fit the prompt the best because it has of and the word and in the title, and I just think this cover is really stunning. This is one of those books I bought a while ago, but I just saw one review and it just sounded so good. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this. I've heard 1 or 2 reviews on it, but it says, all Thea wants is freedom and a sense of belonging. Trapped in exile along with all the other elite magic users, she can't fathom a life beyond her confinement, let alone remember the life she had before it. As Thea's dreams offer glimpses into her past, she tries to piece together the clues to who she is. When a mysterious man visits her dreams claiming to be a friend, Thea wonders if he can be trusted. Does her dream stalker have answers to her forgotten past? After a surprise opportunity arises to free everyone in exile, Thea seizes it, even though it means putting herself directly in the path of the Crimson King. When the trials commence, Thea struggles with the brooding captain of the Crimson Guard and contestants who will stop at nothing to see her fail. As the trials and the secrets of her past collide, Thea struggles to understand her new reality. Thea must find a way to unravel her past and win the trials or condemn herself and everyone in exile to death. Something about that just really intrigued me, and I thought it could be a really interesting read. I think it's like a 6-book series right now, and I don't know if it's a finished series or not. I know I have the first 3 books in the series because I thought, okay, I usually like to read 3 books into a series when it's that long to make sure that I really like it. This is definitely an option, I think, because this one fits the prompt the best. Like I am feeling more summer, spring, romance kind of literary fiction reads. So we do have a lot of good options here. I feel like I could get through some of these a little quicker. Which one do we have? Every Summer After. I know I shouldn't start a new series. I've been reading a lot of romance and literary fiction, and I think I'm kind of torn between these 2 and then the Emma M. Line book. But I think I'm gonna hold off on Emma M. Line because I like picking up those books when I'm in the mood for them. So I might just pick it up anyways, but it is between these 2. I could go with like a very light, fast, quick read, or I could go with something like this where it's a little bit more intense, but I could get into like a new story. And I do think I do want to read this. I literally can't decide. I can't decide. It's between these 2. I love Italy too. I think like if you've been on my channel before and you've heard me talk about anything before, I've talked about Italy quite a bit. I love Italy. You know, I don't know why, but I'm leaning towards this one a little bit more. So we are going to put Love and Gelato on the TBR because I think it's gonna be quick and easy and fast. So the one for and of on the title, we're gonna put Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welsh on the TBR. We're picking our 3rd and final prompt for our TBR. So let's mix it around. I think this one keeps getting stuck in my hand, so we're going with this one. We have Pinterest picks. So for this one, I'm going to screen record my phone, and I guess we'll do it like the first book or the first couple books that show up. I can choose from those ones to add to the TBR. I've kind of been excited for this prompt. I forgot that I put that in there, but that's really fun. We get to go on Pinterest, and I love Pinterest. And when I get on Pinterest, like I can never get off Pinterest. I'll be on there for hours. It's like my TikTok. Okay, I've had to switch you to a different angle because the tripod I was using and the charger I was using, it just wasn't working. I'm not really sure what's going on there. We're not having the best of luck with the video today, but we're gonna get straight back into it. So we are choosing a book from Pinterest. So I'm going to start screen recording and we'll look at it, just looking at my main screen and what's on here now. It doesn't really look like there's anything I could choose from. Yeah, that's just Taylor Swift. So I think what I'll do is I'll search up, we'll just type in book, we'll see what comes up. Don't have that. Oh, does that, yeah, okay. That one counts, All right, so the first one that I saw that I know that I have on my TBR for sure is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So Great Big Beautiful Life didn't get put on the TBR, but it's clear that I was meant to read Emily Henry this month. Yeah, we're gonna be putting Book Lovers on the TBR. Let me go grab it, and then we will go through all the books that I have on my June TBR. Okay, so the 3rd and final book on the TBR is Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which I am excited about because I do feel like I want to read all of her books at some point. I haven't gravitated towards picking any of them up, even though I've been wanting to read them anyway, so I think this was good that it was put on. But wait. Return to Sender. I totally forgot about that while we were doing the prompts, but this one was Pinterest, so it wouldn't have shown up anyways. The and or of prompt, I couldn't have done it because it says Return to Sender. And then what was the other one? It was mixed reviews, and it's not out yet, so I haven't heard any reviews about it, so it wouldn't have fit any of the prompts anyways. We do have our 3 books on our June TBR, and then we have our 1 non-negotiable that hopefully I will be reading and reviewing before the end of the month. It was supposed to come out early June, and then they switched it to later in June, or is it July now? It might be July, so I might have a little bit more time if I don't end up getting to it soon. Just to quickly go through all the books that we picked on our TBR, for the first prompt, we had to pick a book that had mixed reviews, and for that one, I chose Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. The next book, the title had to have and or of in the title, and I chose Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welsh. I'm still thinking about the other book that I picked that I was deciding between, so maybe I'll add that one to the TBR again, we'll see. But this is the second book on the TBR. The third and final prompt we had was Pinterest picks a book for us, and so it picked Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and then I'm going to try to also read Return to Sender. I'm excited for all the books. If you stayed this long through this absolutely chaotic TBR video, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for staying. Also, let me know what's on your June TBR. I would love to know what everybody else is reading in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.